Listen, I ain't never. Listen, baby, I ain't never met no one like
As you
you.
study.
'Cause I've been around, but your vibe is something new. Come on.
So it's around 9 o'clock right now. This morning I spent like 30 minutes working on my project. For those who don't know, I'm creating a Pomodoro Chrome extension that will help you eventually stay focused for longer periods of time with breaks, so it's more manageable in that way. And I found that during college it worked well for me, so I wanted to create something that's pretty useful and is meaningful for me as well. I am on support rotation this week for work, and what that means is I'm answering any questions that people may have in our Slack channel, because we are an internal team and we support other internal teams developing in the same software. But I remember those days in Amazon where support rotation was a little bit different, it's a lot more chaotic, and I remember just alarms going off. It was pretty stressful whenever I was on support rotation. Thankfully, I only stayed at Amazon for around 6 months, so I didn't experience that much of stress and the rotation process, but it was pretty hectic compared to here at my current team. I'm just gonna make some coffee to get the day started.
Listen, I ain't never. Listen, baby, I ain't never met no one like you. 'Cause I've been around, but your vibe is something new. Come on, baby, give me, that's the truth. Let me tell you what I'm trying to do with you. Like, ooh, baby, take my hand, let me ride away with you. Away with you.
So I've been experimenting just the different ways I can make espresso and what kind of drinks I can make out of that. Lately, I've been trying to use different milks and different, sugars and sweeteners to match the flavor profile that I'm trying to go for. I know I keep putting it out there, but I use the Presso to make all my espresso drinks. I just find that it's the best compact espresso maker out there. All the tools that come along with the Presso fit in this compact body, so you can bring it wherever you go. I've been taking this with me across the country, and it's just a more convenient way to make espresso rather than paying, $3-4 for a shot. It's even worse for a latte. Yeah, now I'm just trying to make as much as I can at home. So as I mentioned before, I want to dive into the realm of indie app development. To do that, I realized that I really do need to dive in and focus more of my time on that. Lately, I've been spending a lot of my time creating these YouTube videos, working, which I have to do, it's my 9-to-5 job. But there are a lot of times throughout the day where I'm sitting and not doing much, doom scrolling, and I realized that I do need a structured schedule so that I can have devoted time and just focus on the things I need to get done. I think what really helps as well is to be a part of a community that focuses on app development, specifically solo app development, because finding others on the same path as you is really encouraging, and that really encourages me to see that it's actually possible and a way out of my 9-to-5 job. So for example, I like to go on subreddits and see what people build and what tools that they use to build it. There's also this YouTube channel, it's called Starter Story, I believe, and it showcases how developers, start from zero, from their idea to what they actually achieved, and show how much recurring revenue that they achieved. And I find it's pretty insightful because you can see where they started, how they promoted their app, what tools that they use as well. And maybe I can schedule some time to watch those videos as encouragement. For the most part, I do need a stricter schedule so that I can follow that. I've been working on this app for a few months now, and I don't see like an end date on when I want to publish it. There are some things I want to improve, but you kind of want to put out the MVP and test the market and see if there's a market actually for your product, and then incrementally improve that, whether it's fixing your bugs or changing how the product is. And actually over the weekend, I learned that Instagram didn't start as Instagram. Instagram started as Bourbon, which was an app that is like a check-in activities application where people meet up and check in at one location to do activities together, showcase some of what they've created through pictures as well. And what they learned creating that app was that the users only really cared about the pictures that they uploaded. And that's when they pivoted from Bourbon to Instagram, which is more of a content media app. I say this because I recently pivoted my app to have a theme, because previously it didn't really have a theme. It was just like any other focus application. I'll share more of what that theme is later today, but I was a bit scared of pivoting because I had my own mindsets and plan from the beginning of how I wanted this app to look like. But honestly, I believe in this, changing world. It's definitely okay to pivot, but now I'm just gonna have some lunch and then continue with work. So just out here on the walk. This place is actually like 2 minutes away, so I would rather just drive here and go on a walk along the river here. I'm literally just walking right next to the riverbank. Just gonna do a round of walking here and then think about some things I need to do. So what drew me to moving to Reno was definitely the nature. I was debating between Las Vegas and Reno. And although Reno is kind of expensive compared to Las Vegas, at least, I decided to, take that trade-off because I enjoy being in nature, and there are a bunch of places that I want to go to, trails, lakes around here. I've only gone to Tahoe once ever since moving here, so planning on more trips to Tahoe in the future. So as I was mentioning earlier today, I was going to share with you guys the state of my app and where it's going and why I pivoted to having a theme for the app. So let me show you guys how it looks like now. So as you can see, this hasn't changed too much besides the fact that I wanted the theme to be around cherry blossoms. So as you study and progress, the cherry blossom grows, and after you complete 3 out of 3 sessions here, then it will bloom to a cherry blossom and will be saved in your grove of trees. I gated it here to have the user sign in to kind of like save their trees and their progress. And that's another way to adopt users as well. But yeah, as it completes here, it moves on to the next state of the tree. But yeah, the UI doesn't look the greatest. I think that's what I want to work on next. But before that, I want to work on the actual functionality because there are a few bugs that I want to fix. I chose this theme of cherry blossoms because I knew I needed to stand out. I felt like that was a pretty tough, pill to swallow for me because I had an initial vision of what I wanted the app to look like. But in this age of technology and how much content is out there, I felt like it makes more sense to pivot to something that will attract people and kind of lean towards the market. The idea of cherry blossoms came to me after scrolling on Instagram and just seeing how during the spring season, so many people visiting Japan and the cherry blossoms out there. And I knew I wanted to cater the app towards people who love, cherry blossoms. And it also highlighted the fact that people are flocking towards something they really enjoy. And for the longest time, all the things I built were for myself. I didn't really think or have that mindset to build things for others. And seeing that people are really into cherry blossoms helped me understand the importance of building something for the market and chasing those users. So that's why I decided to pivot to having a theme, and I'm pretty excited for this. I know it's kind of similar to other apps out there where you kind of grow this plant, but for my case, it's specifically cherry blossoms, and I want to focus on that theme. I mentioned earlier I really need to work on a set schedule. I eventually want to get this app to a state where I can share it with you guys, so having a structured day will help make it more clear to me when the timeline is going to be for when I'm going to publish this app and share it with you guys. So stay tuned. So I forgot to meal prep last weekend, so I have my chunk of ground beef here that I need to cook up. I try to meal prep as much as I can because I know cooking and cleaning every day is going to take a lot of time. And that's one thing I do to optimize the time that I have throughout the day. It's been saving so much time and effort for me every day that it just doesn't make sense to not meal prep. And it also saves me money because I don't eat out often. I honestly wish I did this earlier because back in my early days of working remotely, I cooked almost every meal 2 times a day at least. But now that I've been working remotely for 4 years now, I realized that optimizing, just everyday things really goes a long way. And meal prepping is just one of those things. I have my whole pot right here that I'm gonna cook the ground beef in. I might prep some other stuff, but for now, just gonna do the ground beef. When I decided to have a cherry blossom theme for my app, I handed all that work to AI to build out the feature. And ever since doing that, that's when I started losing, focus of what the code base looked like. And I was just approving all the edits that I made. It does definitely speed up the process, but I remember when I first started building this application with Claude, I had a pretty good understanding of what's going on. But now that I switched to this cherry blossom theme and handed all of that work off to Claude, I didn't even look at much code. But using Claude for work and for this project, I realized that it's not going to take my job. As good as AI can be, there are some mistakes that I can make that will eventually lead them down a completely different path and give you the wrong answer. And all the work that has been done could just be thrown away. If you have the expense to take that route, then it doesn't really matter for you. But for me, as a solo developer, using AI is costly. I'm only on the pro plan for Claude, so that means I have like a limited usage amount. I barely get much out of that. I do want to work on my schedule. I think I'll do another video on that to have a breakdown of my scheduled day. Look out for that. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.
Listen, I know